Hello everyone, happy Friday. I am just doing some filming today for my new 30-day program, which is really cool. There's nothing worse than when you do I filmed a video and uploaded it and put it on the landing page, put it on Google, did the editing, did all of that, not Google, YouTube, and there was like a fluffy, fuzzy thing over the camera, so I had to redo the whole thing. So that's what I'm doing today, is doing some filming. So I'll just wait for a couple more people to jump on. But today I'm covering some stuff that came up yesterday. I did a live on prolactin and what prolactin does in the body to men. So when you watch porn, and you're watching porn all the time, and you've been doing for a long time, even if it's only once a month or more, then you have this, addiction in the brain to the chemicals, and there's neural pathways that have changed. The brain damage that occurs in the frontal lobe is, because of those chemicals and hormones. The brain can't accommodate for all those chemicals and hormones. It just can't survive in that state. So it has to change itself all the time. And they're what we call neural pathways are changing. But when those change and that level of hormones and chemicals are expected, then that's where the addiction comes in, because the brain doesn't want to come down off that high, and it does, and then it's looking for its next hit, right? And so the drug addiction is the hit and the crash, but the hit and the crash start down here, and then it might be a couple of weeks apart, and then it gets closer and closer and closer as your cycle becomes hit crash, and it goes up like this, right? Because the brain requires all those extra chemicals and hormones to survive, because it's changing itself, right? It's really cool. But what happens is when you ejaculate, you have a release of all of those chemicals and hormones, which are the come down, and then prolactin goes up in the body. So, hi Claire. So prolactin goes up and then causes erectile dysfunction, mood issues, energy issues, and if you're ejaculating all the time, it's a major issue, right? And men are depleted in this area, and no one's even talking about it, especially a woman. So here I am today answering some questions that were raised yesterday. If you missed my video, you can go onto my page. It's a public page. You can go onto my personal page and see that video and catch up on what we're talking about. So one of the questions was, do men have to ejaculate, right? Because it's a natural, thing that happens. Yes, it's a natural thing that occurs in the body, but most people don't know that ejaculation and orgasm are two separate things, right? They're two separate processes that occur in the body. Ejaculation is, sperm and semen and fluid coming from the prostate and your testicles. It's a reproductive function, right? It's a natural kind of thing that happens for most men when they orgasm. And so they don't realize that the orgasm generates in the soul, in the sacral chakra, or the dantian area, which is just below your belly button, and that's the feeling that you get. So when I try and tell men I'm going to teach you how to orgasm without ejaculation, they're like, okay, aren't they the same thing, is the first reaction. But the second reaction is, but I love ejaculating, right? And it's not paintball, guys. We know that you're very territorial about, where do you want to put it. I was on dating sites for years, and that was one of the top questions that I got asked by men who were going down that path was, where do you like a guy to ejaculate? Do you squirt? Do you love anal? Like, I've listened to this for years and years and years and years, right? It's a problem out there. Okay, so back to ejaculation. Do men have to ejaculate? No, they don't, right? So semen retention is what that is called, right? It's a Taoist and tantric practice of learning to orgasm without ejaculation. So I teach that, right? And we teach that in the program. I teach it with the guys that come in. I was teaching it for years with the massage. That was their homework, was the self-pleasure homework. I give everyone self-pleasure homework, and even the women now, which is cool. So I'm treating women all the time, more so than the men now, which is really cool. I'm treating, 17-year-olds, 15-year-olds. I had a 5-year-old come in the other day. I activated Kundalini in a 14-year-old who's super psychic. It was amazing. And so, I'm treating lots of people for this, but, the 14-year-old and the kids don't get self-pleasure homework, just a disclaimer there. But the men and the women do, because this is a problem, that people aren't connecting to their own bodies, right? And this is what I promote. So men can learn to orgasm without ejaculation, but it takes practice, because you've been doing it the same way all your life, and you've been doing it quickly, and you've been teaching yourself to ejaculate or orgasm as soon as that feeling kind of comes on. You've been teaching yourself to orgasm as quick as you can because there's people in the house, or your only me time is in the shower or in the car. A lot of the survey stuff that I did came back some really quite surprising, and the women need to know this stuff as well. Men are going for porn in the car. They're ejaculating in their cars. They're doing it at work. So, you can start to see that when a porn addiction occurs, there's an urgency and a desperate need to ejaculate. And we want to pull that back and just completely change this for men, right? Because men don't have to ejaculate. They can orgasm without ejaculation. It does take practice, right? They can also have, and this is the bare minimum that I teach in the work that I do, full body orgasms, right? And I teach this to women as well. Do you know what a full body orgasm is? Put it in the comments, hashtag live or hashtag replay in the comments if you can. Let me know where you're watching from as well. So, full body orgasm is, by definition, something that occurs in your sacral chakra, which is the sexual chakra, which is where your orgasm comes from. And yes, it's generated by the genitals, but as people probably know, there's all types of orgasms that men and women can have. But the definition of it starts to build up in the sacral chakra and then travel up through the chakra system out the top of your head. It might go down your hands. You might feel it in your hand chakras. So it's like for those that don't know what energy feels like, it's either a tingling or a buzzing or a burning, but in a good way, feeling. I have it go through my feet, right? So I know when the orgasm's coming because it shoots down my feet and I feel like I've got rockets on my feet and then rushes up through the top of my head. But you can't achieve a full body orgasm if you watch porn. You can't achieve a full body orgasm if you have brain damage and you're used to, just quickly ejaculating. It's just impossible. For women, you can't achieve a full body orgasm if you don't feel loved. And it's actually the same for men as well. So when we do this work, we connect the groin, the two poles in the body are the groin and the chest and the heart area. It's not chakras, they're tantric poles on the body. Negative and positive. And so when you connect those two back up, and we know that men are disconnected from their hearts, right? They're disconnected because they're doing so much work, or this does the relationships, this does the work, and the sex is down there. And trust me, a lot of men, and I'm not bagging out men here, this is from my experience and my research. This is why I wrote the book. There are a lot of men who are going outside their relationships, right? And so when they do that, there is no judgment from me. I'm here to help and heal whoever comes in for whatever reason. And the goal is not always to get back together with people or to stay in toxic relationships. And so when they disconnect, it's literally, I can feel the line of energy across the hips area is like cold from there down. They've got erectile dysfunction. They can't get erections without stimulus like Tinder dates or online chatting and sexting or porn, right? So men can learn and women can learn to have these full body orgasms. And I've discovered that when men feel loved and when women also feel loved and honored, and it can be by a stranger, it doesn't have to be in a relationship, then you'll have a full body orgasm. Just saying, edging, yeah, edging is part of all of this as well, right? So if, I'll just tell you quickly about the physical body of a male, and if he doesn't ejaculate 13 days in to having a fast, if you like, the semen will start to just kind of absorb back into the body. It will go into the bladder and the man will urinate it out, right? So all these men who are getting blue balls, it's because you're stuck in a cycle of addiction and ejaculation, right? And some of these guys, are ejaculating, 3 times a day. And so if they don't do that, they've got into such a cycle that if they don't do that, they end up, that with blue balls, like even just for one day. And so we help guys work through that addiction cycle and start to do self-pleasure without porn, and you do it for longer periods of time. And there's a whole lot of stuff that I teach guys around the limbic system, which is your arousal system, and in the brain. You've got your 5 senses that we don't eat while we masturbate. So there's 4 senses that we work with, even though we have 33 senses. Did you know that? So Claire's written, what if he's had a vasectomy and doesn't ejaculate semen? Is this different? Correct me if I'm wrong, but he still ejaculates fluid, which is semen. There's just no sperm in the semen. Therefore, he's losing bodily fluids. Therefore, he's losing chi, and therefore he's still losing those nutrients and minerals that we talked about yesterday. So every time a man ejaculates, he loses nearly half his daily intake of zinc. Now, men that aren't taking zinc supplements, you need to get on it. You can contact me directly for how much you need to take, but I don't want to broadcast that because I'm not legally allowed to prescribe, supplements. But I can tell you where to go and what to take in terms of milligrams, because you need to be on zinc for the rest of your life. Men, if you want to produce testosterone and you want to have more sperm production and better moves and a really good immune system, then you need to get on zinc. You're not getting it through your foods. None of us are getting the nutrients we need through our foods. We are zapping, we are microwaving, we are boiling, we are freezing. The food is already frozen when it gets to us. We've started going to the Dandenong market to get fresh fruit and vegetables, and you have to cook it and you have to do it all straight away because it's so fresh. It hasn't been frozen, right? Anyway, that's a whole other thing. So hopefully that answers your question, Claire. So this every 13 days the semen will go back into the system, and it's not a bad thing for that to happen. Ask men that don't masturbate, and a lot of men that have lost their wives don't masturbate, and they don't watch porn, and they don't go on dates, and so those men have gone 20 years without losing semen, and it's not a bad thing. Ask the monks, right? So starts to absorb into the body. You can have orgasm without ejaculation, as I said. You can have full body orgasm, which is what you should be learning at the very basic minimum for your sexual health and for your relationships and intimacy. And if you're not sure how to get that to happen, I already covered a couple of things. You need to feel loved, you need to feel honored, you need to feel safe as a woman especially, but the men are exactly the same, right? You don't see this because men don't talk about wanting to feel safe during sex. But when we reconnect the groin with the heart and the third eye, which is your intuition, and that's where all the trust comes from, when we start to treat men with beautiful honor and respect and touch them or do some healing around them with sound and nutrients and minerals and supplements and kinesiology and energy work and massage, they start to really drop into their bodies. And this is the biggest problem, guys, when it comes to porn addiction. And I've been in a lot of trouble for saying this out aloud to some male leaders in the industry who said, you can't say that to our men are good guys. I'm not here to bag out men. This is a researched thing. I help men fix this, right? When you watch porn, you have a porn addiction and you've had it for a long time, which is like 10, 20, 30, some up to 70 years that I've treated. You cannot be present during sex. You can't. And what I mean by that is you might be trying to please her, and you're trying to do this position and that position, and that's all great. And we love that. We love the attention to detail and the effort that you're making, and you're a good person, and we get all of that. But you cannot be present energetically, emotionally. You'll have brain damage. You cannot be in the moment. And when I say that, for years and years and years, I've been having sex a certain way, and I won't get into that for God's sake. And I would then meet someone else and then think, well, this is weird. Why is he doing sex like this? And then he'd be like, oh, that was amazing. And I'm like, well, how is that amazing, right? So what I've known innately, and because of my spiritual gifts and my education and my research, and also just my, I'm an empath, and the way I feel energy and stuff, I'm very sensitive, is you should be having sex that blows your freaking mind. And I mean, like, your actual brain has an orgasm, and we do that through moving the cerebral fluid up the brain and moving the breath work up through the spine. It's a whole nother video, right? You should be having mind-blowing sex where you actually don't know if you're this way or that way in the bed. Let's say you don't know if you're upside down, or you're not thinking about positions. You're connected, and your energy and your chakra system is connecting to that other person. You have what's called a microcosmic orbit, or in kinesiology and Chinese medicine, we talk in terms of meridians. Front and back meridian joins up to make the microcosmic orbit. You have this energy flow running round through your body, right? And we work with those sexual channels when we do this work. And this is how you learn to sublimate the breath work and sublimate the orgasm up through the body. You can give your brain an orgasm, which is proven by Joe Dispenza's work, right? But when you connect with someone, so there's two of you together and you're facing each other, that circuit then becomes one, right? And so the energy goes down through, say, the kissing, through her spine, through the genitals. You may not even be having intercourse. It doesn't matter. You're connecting, and try this. Try connecting sexually without actually, having the intercourse. God, I hate that word. Can we have another word? And it goes round through his spine and up through the kissing, right? And this is why I value kissing like no other, more personal than anything. I'm like Pretty Woman, right? Because that's where the soul enters, and where the kissing goes through the energy systems and the sexual channels. And if you can't, if you don't feel like you don't know what day it is, you don't know what position you're in, you're starting to leave your body, then you're not having mind-blowing sex. And this is what it should be like, right? We were born to be this way. We have these energy systems and these meridians and organs and multi-dimensional stuff that people aren't tapping into. This isn't just about porn addiction. I'm not here hating on men. I'm here to help men do this. And how good is that? I've been doing that for 10 years, and I've got an alumni women that if you're interested, you want to find a man that does not watch porn, right? Because years later, men still contact me and say, I'm so glad I did the work with you. I finally met the twin flame, the soulmate, the love of my life, and it's all coming together. And you were right. This is like boom, out through the head. That's how it should be, right? Hi, Catherine. I'm not multitasking very well today, so I'll go back and I'll answer the questions in another live. Okay, so that's orgasm without ejaculation, which means you can also have multiple orgasm. Multiple orgasm is possible for men and women as well, and everyone kind of knows that, but the men, right? The men can have multiple orgasms. They don't lose their erection, or it goes down just slightly, and it's an energy thing that goes through their body, but it feels exactly like an orgasm, right? And I've spoken to lots and lots of guys and done lots and lots of research on this and seen it firsthand, right? So it's pretty cool. So that's what we want guys to aim for, is full body orgasm, and women, orgasm without ejaculation for the men, and multiple orgasm. And so if you want to learn this stuff, come and talk to me, because my new program is amazing. And in 30 days, you start to creep into this, right? It takes practice. We've got to get you off the porn first, get your erection sorted, because you can't edge, right? Sonia brought up edging before. Edging is the key, people, to everything, right? All the research that I've done, most of it drops in for me. Most of it's on the job, and I get information and messages, right? One day I was massaging a guy, and I was guided to rub his gallbladder point, which is along the side of his leg. And I felt him like flinch, right? So it was sore. And then put my hand up his bum because I knew it was prostate and gallbladder. And so I was like holding the energy, and my body was shaking, and I was going bananas, and he was going bananas. And I'm like, what was that? So I get onto Google as soon as he leaves, and I'm like, prostate, gallbladder, what's going on there? And what I discovered was, if you have if you have gallbladder issues, and most people don't know they do until they get pregnant and have a scan, and the men aren't aware of this. Oh, lost the internet. There we go. Men aren't aware of their gallbladder issues unless they have gallstones, right? And so what I discovered was, if you have gallbladder issues, then you're 65% more likely to get prostate cancer, right? And in gallbladder sits frustration and suppressed anger, and so does impotence. And so I work with the gallbladder a lot with guys. It's really interesting stuff, right? So a lot of my stuff is on the job training. And, you know, men can have these amazing Kundalini orgasms, and so can women. You can have these energy orgasms where it's like this big build up and you're like, what the fuck is happening? And your body starts moving and shaking. And if you haven't seen my video posted on my profile, have a look at that, where Joel is actually on the table at my kinesiology course and his Kundalini's going nuts. We're going to do some video filming of that so that it's a bit more structured, and we'll show you and we'll talk you through how that's actually happening. So that's cool. Okay, so another semen retention is not the same as no FAP, was another question I got asked. Semen retention means you are practicing conscious self-pleasure, which is what we call this new way of doing it. So you do it for at least 10 minutes, then you do it for 20 minutes, then you do it for 30 minutes. You're working with the senses, the limbic system, covering the eyes, working with coconut oil, essential oils, all of that stuff, right? And so that's what semen retention is, people. It is not no FAP. Semen retention is retaining your semen, but learning to orgasm without it. Right? And so when you do this in your conscious self-pleasure practices, this is training. This is military training, and it has to be exactly how I ask you to do it. And then you get a tracking sheet and you work it all out, and then you take that into your relationship. So that's really cool. And I'm working with couples now, and we're doing lots of, they're getting intimacy exercises, values exercises, boundaries, communication exercises. It's really important. So that's what semen retention is. No FAP is when you just go cold turkey. No FAP means no fapping. Fapping is an American term for wanking, which is what we call it in Australia. And every time I go to a business meeting, they get me to do the noise, which I won't do now. Right. So fapping is, no FAP is a hashtag movement that started over in the States, and they had the right intentions with it, but there's lacking, they're lacking education about the brain. There's no research. They're blaming women for stuff. It's a bit of a toxic kind of field now, and they're not educated on how the brain works, how the brain goes into scarcity as soon as you stop watching porn and masturbating. So no, do the noise. No, I won't do the noise. I'm good with my party tricks when we go out for drinks and when I do business meetings. It's quite funny. So if you come to my training, I might do the noise. So yeah, no FAP is going without porn, masturbation, and orgasm. They don't understand that orgasm is possible without ejaculation, and they are like throwing the baby out with the bathwater with all of this methodology or lack of. And what they don't realize is the brain goes into scarcity immediately, which is like coming down off crack. And so they might have the mind power and the willpower for a couple of days, maybe a couple of weeks. What they don't understand is their sexual energy starts to pick up after that come down, and because that's their organic natural sexual energy picking up, because before they had no sexual energy. If you're watching porn all the time and you think you're horny all the time, you probably are, right? But it's because that you've got this brain addiction. You're running on empty all the time, and when you come in here, you feel like a dead fish in terms of energy, sexual energy, Kundalini energy, chi. You are depleted, right? So another question was then what's the difference between, if ejaculation is unhealthy, and we talk about losing minerals and nutrients and chi, and you know, and it's quick and it's over quickly, and you're doing it in the shower and it's just a means to an end. What's the difference between that and sex? There's a big difference. There's a big difference between sex and masturbation, and there's a big difference then again with porn addiction and masturbation. Porn addiction, you will never ever get the same chemical rush that you get out of sex that you do with porn. All right, it's because the brain is having fireworks displays. That's a whole other, watch my other video to see what porn addiction is. You've got this amazing chemical reaction in the body, but we're coupling it with pleasure. It's like when people choke themselves and couple it with pleasure, it sets off like massive amounts of dopamine and serotonin and oxytocin and everything in the brain. You're never going to get that from sex unless you are off porn and you are connecting on this other level that I just spoke about, right? Because it's impossible. So men that are amped up on these drugs all the time in their brain, they can't get that same fix, right? The other thing that I talked about yesterday was, or the day before, was oxytocin. Oxytocin is the bonding hormone. So you are bonding with all the acts that you're watching on porn, and the subconscious mind thinks that you've done it all. So this forms a problem when it comes to trying to find a partner or being in a relationship, because your brain sees your relationship as vanilla sex. Doesn't matter what she does or he does. All right. And this is the problem. Your subconscious mind thinks you've experienced all of those things. And so, you're trying to get that rush and that fix out of just having sex, and you just can't. And there are men who are watching porn and masturbating after having sex to get that kind of like satisfying feeling, all right, even though they feel empty straight away. Okay, so my suggestion is that I try and get my guys to masturbate ongoing after they do the work with me and they say goodbye. I get them to conscious self-pleasure in practices of the energy work, the breath work, the arousal work, without ejaculation. And they can ejaculate once a week, right? And so the difference between porn and just masturbation on its own is hugely different, and we help you. That's the first step. We have to actually teach you to masturbate without porn. Otherwise, you can't heal your porn addiction, because you'll couple the two. Porn and pleasure goes together in your brain. That's a neural pathway. If you try and quit, those two are always going to be connected, and so you might be great for a while, and then you give up, and then all of a sudden, you feel horny, and so you watch porn. So we have to disconnect that, and we have to teach you how to to masturbate without porn. And sex is completely different, and you just cannot have connected sex on a level that a lot of us know and most don't. Some of us know and most don't. You just can't. It's impossible, right? So we've got to get you off the porn, heal your erections, heal your neural pathways, and we do that through supplements, as well as training and belief systems and mental health stuff, and we clear blockages with kinesiology and all of that. Okay, what else? Quick ejaculation is not good. You need to be masturbating, men and women, for at least 10 minutes. Okay, so when you don't edge, you're not building up that sexual energy. You're not innately or organically building the sexual energy in your body. I call masturbation orgasm therapy, because you can, if you do this properly, you can move and shift bad energy, dead energy, doom and gloom and stuff sitting in the base 3 chakras. Now, the base chakra, which is between your legs, is the root chakra, and it is where depression sits. It's our survival chakra. So over the lockdowns, everyone's base chakra was like, because all our needs and pleasures and freedoms were taken away from us. So the base chakra got affected the most, right? Above that, the doom and gloom is the guilt and shame sits in your sacral chakra. So anyone that's had a sexual imbalance, which is porn addiction, sexual abuse, or being ignored by your partner for 20 years sexually, or rejected by women when you were younger, you'll have a sexual imbalance there, and the guilt and shame sits there. Now, your orgasms come from there. So when men are connecting with women, you're releasing this energy, you're releasing this stuff, right? And so what are you releasing into your partner, both men and women, right? What are you releasing energetically? How are you healing through sex? Because you should be healing through sex. And you should also be clearing and protecting through sex, because of that kind of dumping that's happening from the other person. And if you're feeling flat and crap after sex, then you've got some work to do. You can talk to me about that. Okay, we've covered the vasectomy, we've covered that, and we've covered the bonding hormones. So that's it from me. Hopefully I can take a breath now. And if you have any questions, I'll get back to you. Hi, Joel. Joel's hello. Thanks for watching today. If you have any questions, pop them in the thing. Make sure you put live or replay so I can follow up, and I'll answer the next lot of questions in my next video. If you want to do my 30-day program, book a call with me. Just contact me on private message, and I'll put you on the list to launch the new program. It's probably maybe 2 weeks away or less. It's pretty exciting. All right, have a great Friday and have a great weekend. See you guys.